If you would, we're going to try and keep it to 3 minutes for, depending on how many people speak, I suppose.
My name is Craig Bevan. I had 27 and a half years on the Elyria Fire Department. As a retiree, I wasn't interviewed for this. I really appreciate the council at large. They went over to the fire station. You found some things out. What are you going to do about it to make it work? You have to know the shortfalls of what's going on in the response times, and there is no backup. None. And every day, you didn't replace retirees, you've laid off, and now you're laid off again. What are you going to say when there's 2 trucks running a city the size of Elyria? What a joke. And what really bothers me the most, when the chief stood up the other day at the council meeting and told you what was going on, nobody said anything, not a word. Yet when Mr. Metters went over, you said, we have to support our chief. Is it a one-way road? People die from guns and from stabbing, but they also die from lack of manpower. And not only are the people at risk, but when the guys go in, if that floor collapses and they don't have anybody to go in and get them, we've compounded the problem. It's pretty sad when you have a house fire in Elyria, you have 2 other fire departments come in and help a normal house fire. And you guys make the appropriations. You tell them where it's supposed to be spent. So it's time, and the council at large, you got to earn my vote because you're my councilman too. I've talked to my councilman, and I want to know where you stand, and I want to see what you do. And the one thing I want to tell you, when they put Mr. Sadler in charge of the audit, he did not pass the chief's test. That's what he had involved. I also have an issue when they talked about deputy chief, that's a position he's talked about for 10 years. And I know that he took him to Elyria Country Club, the audit people, to talk to him. That really makes me wonder, what's the truth? Was it swayed? Was that the information that was supposed to go? This was the mayor's hand-picked man. When you made him chief, our charter said it was supposed to be the fire marshal, Bob Dempsey. But he wasn't a yes man. So it was changed, and that's when you made Mr. Sadler the chief. It was against our charter. And what did you do to change it? When I found out, went over and put Bob on shift and made Glenn the fire marshal so that he would fill in for the chief as what the city charter says. The fire department keeps getting manipulated, and you better know the truth about what goes on. We had a man lose his life on 17th Street. We had a couple on Hawthorne Street, and we had a lady burned badly over on Branston. If that was your family, would you let that go?
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. It's anyone? Mayor Grace.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd rather not have to respond to some of these statements that were made, but get challenged with great frequency that when things get said and no one responds, that there are those that are left to believe that, well, it must have been so if no one said otherwise. And in that response, you know, the statements were made by others referencing charters and, you know, there's things that are in the administrative code, all things that were actions taken were done so in full you know, context of the regulations that are available to us, civil service regulations, state law, etc. Among the things you heard from several individuals out here, it can, in one word, you know, we've all been hearing that they're just sensationalizing circumstances. To suggest, as was just done, that with the tragic lives lost in our city were brought up here tonight, as they've been brought up numerous other times, were brought up to suggest that any actions by administration through budget constraints, what have you, cost the lives of those people. That's what they want us all to believe when they make such statements, these sensational statements from playing 911 tapes, etc. These are serious issues, serious consequences of our decisions, yet time and time again, dozens of times over, we've been brought with little snippets of information, little snippets of time without the full picture, without time for this administration and others to put things into context. You know, we had, for example, we heard, and I'm not going to go on much longer, but we had, you know, a significant house fire on Labor Day weekend. I think it was last year, might have been the year before. And if you piece back the times, when that dispatch person from the Elyria Fire Department said, hey, we're not there any sooner because of a station being closed, and asked the time or the condition of the fire, the homeowner described that the entire house was on fire. At the point she said the entire house was on fire, that station, our entire department could have been at the Pizza Hut down the street from this fire. Our entire department could have been located there, and we're not going to arrive by the time she said my entire house is on fire. You know, these are elements that don't come out until days later, when it takes a lot of nerve to hear from our professionals to suggest that we are manipulating and twisting things, and when that's all we've heard for years on end from individuals within this department, and to suggest that furthermore that we need to let them without any abandon, with all abandon, to just do as they say fit. I'm not going to name names, but one of the leaders of this department sat in my office less than 2 years ago, pounding fists on the table saying, given the choice between having a firefighter at the radio versus on the scene, I'll take him at the radio every time. And I challenged that person to show me in the NFPA standards, not to be shown. And today, less than 2 years after me challenging him, is now one of the strongest advocates of dispatch going over to 911. And I can give example upon example of very similar conversations had by me, people within my office, and the professionals who are far more skilled. Obviously, there's no comparison in their skill and professionalism and knowledge of what they do. No question about it. But I'm elected on behalf of the residents of our city to employ whatever resources are available to me in the time, looking at professional journals, and us collectively to hire the McGrath Consulting Group to ferret through these items. Now, can items within this contract be pulled apart, as you saw the exchange between President Marks and one of the consultants? Yes, but the entire message is what the point here is. And the point is that there are opportunities. And to Mr. Horton's comments about elements within the contract that, you know, have been negotiated and my administration did this, that, what have you. Well, here's a chance, an opportunity. We're in the contract negotiations. Here's an opportunity to clean the slate. So if there's an element or a dozen elements that he believes we put in, what have you, here's the opportunity to make it all right. And it's right in their lap. They can clear the slate. They can right any wrong that they think this administration or any others has done. Here's their opportunity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I'm going to take away from this meeting is that we need to work together. I mean, we cannot continue to bicker back and forth. The administration is going to have to work with the fire department and vice versa. I think we've got an excellent chief. I really do. I spent some time with the chief, and I'm proud to say that he is our fire chief. And I can tell you he's probably working harder than anybody I've seen since I've been on council, and that's 20-some years. So, in the fire chief spot. So, let's put everything behind us and look forward. Okay, we're not getting anywhere by arguing back and forth. We got to go forward. These are challenging times. We're going to have to work together, everybody. Without any more comments, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Stands adjourned.